Okay, so I'm here at Radwood SoCal 2019. I brought the Cadillac, the 91 Sedan DeVille. So far, it's the only Cadillac I've seen here at the show. I'm going to walk around. We're going to check out some of the cool stuff that's here. All right, so we're talking to the owner of this 91 Pontiac Bonneville SSE. Not something you see every single day. So tell me the story about your car.
Well, my mother bought this back in '91, and I actually chose it for her. And then she had a stroke and couldn't drive it anymore, and so she put it in my name. I was in college, and I've been driving it since. So this is my college car.
Okay, so how many miles on the car now?
251,000.
All right, so it's 3,800 motor, so probably the most reliable motor that GM ever really produced. So
yeah, maybe.
I'm sure it's got
it just keeps going and going. All just little fixes here and there. It's been through a bunch of water pumps and alternators and batteries, and I think maybe this is the third radiator, but otherwise it just keeps going and going.
All right, it's still in really good condition, especially for that kind of mileage.
Yeah, and it's been garaged most of the time, and when I took it to work years ago, I used to cover it all day long with the actual car cover. People made fun of me, but look at the paint. It's still really good.
All right, well, thank
all original paint.
All right, so thanks for showing us your car.
Oh, you're welcome. Start over.
All right, here's a Isuzu V-Cross. You don't see these hardly ever anymore. This one, he's got the beefier tires for off-roading, even the roof rack. And he's even got a antenna on the back for CB, so it's definitely for off-roading. I don't think they imported too many of these. I'm not quite sure what the number was, but it wasn't a lot. But there's one here at Radwood. All right, here's a 89 Dodge Dakota convertible. They actually built these. These were a factory thing. I'm not sure if they really sent these out to another company to have it done, but you could buy these through Dodge dealerships back in that era. It's actually for sale. Well, it's got New York plates, so who knows if it's okay for California or not. All right, so we're going to interview this man about his Nissan Z car. Tell me what your name is?
Donovan Beavers.
Okay, and tell me about the details of your car.
So right now it's just got has suspension work, power tricks, coilovers, has CN Performance headers, has a C&M Performance short shifter. It's got a few different things, but really
so it's modified.
Yeah, it's modified. Yeah. Yeah. So
how long have you had the car?
I've had it for a little over 3 years now.
Okay, and what year is it?
It's an 86.
86. All right, well, we're going to do a quick walk around of your car, and thanks for talking to us.
Definitely, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, so we have one of the Griswold wagons here. We got a family truckster. So tell me about your Crown Victoria Country Squire wagon.
Yeah, it is a Crown Victoria, LTD Crown Victoria LX wagon. It's an 89. It's got the 5-liter in it, 373 gears, and a dual exhaust with an H-pipe from the factory, which is some odd little things. And these were mainly intended for fleet sales. So
yeah, I think all the ones without the wood paneling were for the fleets.
Yep. And this one belonged to a radio station down in San Diego, KPBS.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they had it for 26, 27 years, and then I picked it up off a fella. I just turned over 85,000 miles. I put 23 of them on there.
Yeah, these are pretty nice cars. I used to have the Mercury Grand Marquis Colony Park, a 1990 myself.
You gotta love those Panther chassis cars. They just work.
Yeah, it's a great road trip car too, obviously.
Oh yeah, it does great. I mean, it's this thing. I can bomb it down the freeway. Nice gears. It just cruises, just floats.
All right, well, thanks for talking to us about your car.
For sure. You're welcome.
All right, so there's a very cool old-school Toyota 4x4 pickup truck. This looks to be about early 1980s, but check this out. It's got a old-school Honda monkey bike in the back. He's even got some monsters in there, and, of course, an A-Team lunchbox. This one is straight out of the old school. You used to see tons of these running around just like this. Most of them are gone, but they do run forever. All right, so we're checking out this cool Buick Regal station wagon with the faux wood paneling on the side. A very nice original car. What's your name?
Ed.
Okay, and tell me about your car.
Well, it's 1983 Regal Estate wagon. It's been in the family since new. It's been driven across the country once, transported back to Knoxville, Tennessee, brought back out to California. Paint and body, it's been repainted once, and the wood grain has been replaced once. But other than that, fairly original. Interior is completely original. Just has a stock 231 Buick V6, 2-barrel carburetor, 110 horsepower when new.
Yeah.
So who knows how much now?
So it's not up to like today's horsepower standards.
I get routinely smoked by Priuses, so
Yeah, that's how these old '80s cars were.
but it runs, it drives, past smog, no problem. So I
You
can't.
get a lot of family truckster comments.
All the time.
Yeah, I used to drive a '69 Country Squire, so I know all about that.
That's one of the reasons I put those signs in the back window. Is I got so many comments about riding in the third row, and I'm like, this doesn't have
Most of the wagons didn't have the third row because it was an option. A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah, on the B bodies, the larger ones, it was never an option on the G bodies because of how they had to package the fuel tank and the spare and all that. So all the G body wagons were strictly 2-row.
Okay, well, thanks for telling us about your car.
Yeah, thanks again.
So here's a Koenig Porsche race car. I believe this one is actually street legal. I saw something about this online the other day. I'm going to try to talk over the music so I don't get hit with a copyright strike from YouTube because it's kind of loud and it's right by the speakers. But pretty amazing car. Of course, it's registered in Montana like every fancy sports car. But the fact that you can drive this thing on the road is pretty spectacular. All right, here's a row of DeLoreans. These guys actually drove in together at the same time earlier. They're in the royalty section. And, I mean, it's kind of rare to see this many DeLoreans in one line unless you go to, like, an actual DeLorean event, I suppose. But lots of DeLoreans. This one's got, like, the spinner hubcaps on it. And he's got a clock for the time machine. All right, so I'm talking to one of the owners of one of the DeLoreans here at Radwood, and he's actually the original owner of this DeLorean, and he gave it to his son. So tell me, what's your name?
My name is Alan Daniels. I bought this car in December of 1981, new. The original sticker I still have of $26,000 is what I paid for it, and it's been in my family ever since.
So it's definitely a family heirloom.
Correct, it's a family heirloom.
Okay, so you're part of one of the DeLorean clubs here?
Yes, we're part of the DeLoreans, Orange County DeLoreans Club, yes.
Okay, so you're just keeping the DeLorean alive.
Yes, we're keeping the DeLoreans alive in Orange County.
All right, well, thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so there's a Porsche 928, but it's got the license plate, if you remember from the movie Weird Science. So you pretty much have to be old like me to remember that. But we're going to check this car out. The owner's not here to do an interview on it. But that's okay. We can still video. It says it's not for sale, so it's this guy's keeper. All right, for all you JDM fans, this is a Honda City. Now, if you remember these cars, these actually came with the Moto Campo scooter so it's a right-hand drive. This usually came with the Moto Campo scooter in the trunk. So when you park the car, you could actually take the scooter out, unfold it, and ride the rest of the way to your destination. A lot of the scooters have wound up in the U.S., not so many of the cars due to like import restrictions for all those years. But this one's pretty amazing to see here at Radwood 2019. I've only personally ever seen maybe like the third one I've ever seen of the car. I've seen a bunch of the scooters, but not really the car. And he's even got a bunch of like old, you've got Japanese candies and different sort of junk food on the dashboard. And when we go up, give you a good interior shot. So it's got a modern stereo because it's got a USB cord plug-in. But really neat thing to see here. Okay, so we're looking out on the show field in the royalty section here at Radwood. And they'll be walking around, hopefully interviewing some more owners of the cars and checking out some more interesting stuff. The weather has so far cooperated. We had a little sprinkles earlier, but nothing bad. So if you had an entry and you didn't show up, well, tough luck. Okay, we're going to have fun, and we'll see what we can find. All right, so here's one I have no idea what it is. It looks like a cross between a C4 Corvette, a 80s Firebird, and an Acura NSX. So In fact, if you look at the front turn signals, the side markers look like they're C4 Corvette. Looking at the interior, no clue. It's got the guy's initials on the dash. There's no badging on it. It says Alt LXTC. That might be a clue. It was last registered in 1988, so it's probably not even on the computer. On the it says Ass Trolley on the steering wheel, which is an odd-shaped steering wheel, and it's got an old-school cell phone. So if anyone knows what this is, I don't think it's a Corvette kit car or anything like that. It looks like it's some custom built, although it does look like Corvette turn signals. Let us know in the comments. All sorts of stuff here at Radwood. We've got a Subaru ski team car. Now, if you remember the commercials, they always had those commercials where they would talk about how they sponsor the U.S. ski team. And this looks like it appears to be one of the cars from back in the day. They might have even sold these at dealerships like this. I'm not sure. I'm sure they sold the leftover cars. If it is an original car and these are the original decals, that's very cool and very rare indeed. All right, here's one you never see. This is a Suzuki Swift. It's basically the same as a Geo Metro, but if I understand, this thing has like 40,000 original miles. And it looks absolutely minty. I mean, most of these were Geo badged in the U.S., and so it's kind of rare to even see a Suzuki one, and it's extremely rare to see one in this sort of condition. Here's another really interesting car. This is a Renault 5 Turbo. This is not a Le Car. This thing is basically a street legal race car. If you look back here in the hatch, that's where your motor is. And of course it's a wide body. And it's turbo. Yeah, we got Kit over here with the flashing lights. With the Michael Knight replica. But we have Tyler, and he's got his F-body, his Firebird, and he's going to tell us all about it.
It's a 1989. It was all original when I got it, but I've rebuilt the engine. I put an aftermarket intake on it. It's called an Excel Super Ram. Put some rare intake parts on it, and just trying to make it, actually keep running.
All right, so anything else on it? I mean, is this your daily driver?
I daily drive a Miata, but this is kind of like my weekend driver.
This is your weekend driver, so just something to go out and take on the canyons.
Yeah, so I'm taking the canyons and do little burnouts, something like that.
Okay, well, thanks for showing us your car.
Anytime.
Okay, so this is a real rarity in the United States. This is actually a Holden Ute. It's called the Maloo. So this one's a V8 powered. This, of course, is Australian. And now in Australia, they pretty much invented these. In the U.S., we kind of know them as like a Chevy El Camino or a Ford Ranchero, where it's half car, half truck. But these have always been popular in Australia, even before in the 50s. And they continue to build these until today. And I think at one point Chevy was going to sell a Holden Ute as an El Camino in the U.S., and the whole program got killed by General Motors. But kind of neat to see one of these in California. A Subaru Brat. Now, these were actually brought in originally with seats in the back, so they can get away with not paying tax for light trucks from Japan. It was called a chicken tax evasion. This one actually still has the seats in the back. Now, usually the seats are missing since people would take them out so they could actually use it as a truck. So it's very rare to see one in such original condition with the original seats in it. So definitely a very nice to see this here at Radwood. I don't think we've done any British cars yet, but here's an Aston Martin from the Radwood era. Definitely not too many of these around. He's even got his watch collection on the interior. Hopefully it shows up in the video. And this is the Virage. Can't imagine it's easy to find someone to service this guy, but very, very interesting design. Here's a real interesting car. This is actually an 85 Volkswagen Cabriolet Wolfsburg edition with 39 actual miles on the odometer. So it was actually purchased and put into a collection in a museum when it was new, not driven, and as you can imagine, this thing looks absolutely brand new because it is absolutely brand new. Just one of the many interesting things you usually see. You always see interesting stuff at Radwood, but this is extremely interesting, and not something you'll see every day. Let's look at how clean this engine compartment is. So anyone who's restoring one of these can actually see where everything goes, because this thing is just minty. There's one straight out of CNN. This is a Range Rover done up like a United Nations ambulance type vehicle. I don't know, I think this might even be one that was imported from overseas. It's got the flashing light in the back. I'll try to get some more shots here. Look inside. I don't think this is a U.S. spec vehicle. It might be one. Who knows? But kind of interesting to see them do it up like one of the UN vehicles you'd see on the news. Yeah, there's been several articles about this one online. This is a Acura SLX SUV. These are actually, I believe, built by Isuzu, and they were rebadged as Acuras. I think they rebadged them as the Honda Passport as well, if I remember correctly. But Acura and Honda actually took this one, made it like a show car specifically for this event, and they put a modern one of their newer four-cylinder turbocharged engines to increase the power output. And as you look over here, here's actually a stock one for comparison. But when you come over here, you look inside, they actually used the shifter on the inside from a more modern car. Real interesting stuff. All right, so we're with Jigsaw. He's going to tell us about his BMW E30.
Well, it started life as an 85 318i. It was going to get crushed, and I restored it. That's why the Chappie name came from. So then I did an M20 stroker, and now it's a S52 swap. Everything's European bumpers, European front end, rear, everything. And pretty much fully restoration.
Okay. So how have you had the car?
It's been a year now, 1 year.
Okay, so it's just been a lot of work then.
Yeah, I finished it. I finished the build in 3 months, from pretty much a shell to what it is now.
All right, well, thanks for sharing your car with us.
All right, thank you.
All right, so we're here with Natasha with her Lexus. Now she's going to tell us all about it.
All right, so this is my 1990 LS400. It's got 230,000 miles on it.
I'll get you in the shot. Hang on.
Sure.
All right.
Got 230,000 miles on it. It's got 31-inch tires, strut spacers. That's pretty much it. It's independent all the way around, 4.0 V8 1UZ. Come over to the front.
All right.
So,
the Grand Tour now.
yeah, so the livery is actually based off of Ironman Stewart, who is a trophy truck driver. One of the best, one of the most classic guys that drives trophy trucks. So it's kind of after him. Our buddy Frank signed it here. He's the one that helped us with the wrap itself, the stickers itself. He's an awesome guy for doing that. Do you have any specific questions, or
no, we just want
to
people
walk
to talk
around?
about their cars.
Yeah, I love it. It's the best car I have.
Okay. All right. Thanks for sharing it with us. Okay, so we're talking to
Aaron McIlvain.
Okay, we're looking at his Fiero. What year's your Fiero?
It's a 1985 Fiero SE.
Okay, tell us about your Fiero, when you got it, all that good stuff.
I got it about 3 years ago from the original owner, and just had it painted and did a little bit of work to it. It was in real good condition, and it's got the V6 option, the 4-speed Muncie. It's kind of, a rarity of the Fiero, so pretty.
Okay, that's cool. It's very nice, and thanks for sharing it with us.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so Barrett-Jackson actually has a booth here at Radwood. I think they're one of the sponsors. These are cars from the Paul Walker collection. You remember Paul Walker from the Fast and the Furious movie series. This is actually his Eddie Bauer Bronco, which is absolutely minty. So these are from his collection. I guess they're going to auction these off at the Scottsdale auction come January. So there's a BMW M3 here. Gonna get some shots of this guy. And like I said, some really interesting stuff. And Barrett-Jackson getting more into like the 80s and 90s cars, whereas you would normally associate them with the muscle cars like the 60s and 70s. So we're getting towards the afternoon. The weather's starting to not cooperate. We got some rain coming. So I'm going to try to shoot as many cars as I can. Try to get some footage with the owner earlier of this beautiful Bill Blass Lincoln Continental Mark 7. This car is just absolutely minty. It might actually win an award, I think, because it's absolutely perfect. You never see these in this condition. And as the rain falls, a lot of the cars have left already. The award ceremony is coming up. We're going to hopefully be able to video some of that. And as the Viper leaves, a lot of guys are leaving because of course the ground is turning to mud, and it's going to be tough to get out of here for some of these cars. This Viper's got a little bit of wheel spin there. So we'll see how this goes. I'm gonna try to video as much as I can, and see if we can find some more stuff to look at as we see excited people. All right, we got some more truck for you. I think we've done a truck. We did the Toyota earlier, but there's a Dodge Ram Charger. This thing is in absolutely beautiful condition here. It's a 4-wheel drive, and these of course went up against the Broncos and the full-size Blazers. These are rarely in this condition. They were usually used and abused and taken off-roading. So to find one in this kind of condition is definitely rare. Okay, this is really interesting. This is an original H1 Hummer. This is the civilian model that's based on the actual military Humvee. These, of course, a lot of the environmentalists and those type of people back in the day, they were really against these. There's almost a like symbol of just excess to buy one of these. They'll go anywhere off-road, but they won't pass a gas station. But it's really cool to see one here. All right, here's a neat old Land Rover, one of the old school style ones. This one's got the snorkel for when you're going across those rivers and you're knee deep in water. So you can see it's got the tow hitch on it. Okay, so we're getting in and out of the rain with the Homer car. Here's Scott, the proud owner.
How's it going?
Tell us about your Homer car.
So this is the Homer. This is our 24 Hours of Lemons race car, but it's kind of taken on a life of its own. We built it as a race car initially, and we still race it, but we decided to, 24 Hours of Lemons, if you're not familiar, they always like wacky themes and crazy things that don't belong on the racetrack, basically, and we wanted to build something that nobody had ever done before, so we built the replica of the Homer, which is episode of The Simpsons back in the 80s where Homer Simpson finds out that he has a long-lost brother who owns a car company, and his brother allows him to build a car any way that he likes, basically out of his imagination, and he builds this car that's an absolute abortion. It's a horrible car, but it's basically made up of all kinds of junk parts just to kind of make it look like the cartoon car, and all kinds of stuff from the junkyard and house paint and duct tape and all kinds of stuff. It really truly is a low budget race car, and it's a race car first and a show car second. We just actually finished in September a 24 Hours of Lemons race, 15 hours, about 1,000 miles. People don't believe that this is actually racing, and we race it exactly as you see it here with the dome on the roof and everything, and we do pretty well. The car is pretty fast. The car's pretty fast, does pretty well. We're not out there to win it. We're out there to have fun, but we enjoy it. It gets a lot of attention whenever we tow it anywhere, because it's not a street legal car. We tow it, and we always have people, basically, we slow down traffic. People are coming up and taking photos of it all the time. It's a lot of fun, and it's a great time to see everybody enjoying the car.
All right, thanks for sharing your car.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, so that's just about going to do it for Radwood here in SoCal, down in Irvine at Oak Canyon Ranch. The rain actually stopped. It actually stopped again, but a lot of the cars had left before the award ceremony. but at least we got to see that. And if you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe and mark in the comments what your favorite car was here. Of course, there's no way I could have got every car here or interviewed like every owner. I tried to interview like a good cross section of owners of different cars to get just a variety. And until next time, well, I'll be seeing you.